Hi, I'm Don.
Hi, I'm Jerry.
And I'm Tone.
And this is Ah My Guys, the most sincere and wholesome podcast where we only talk about the important stuff. Do you think looking at penis gives you gonorrhea?
It could, if it's bad enough. The hard topics, the topics that you may want to hear about, and the topics that you'd love to hear about.
I'm like, sure, you can touch me only if I got BK in a movie.
We're sincere, wholesome, and apologetic. I went to the hospital. I thought I got a hernia. It was blue balls.
And if this is the kind of wholesome content you've been looking for, you can catch us over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you guys catch your podcasts. New episodes every Monday.
Yeah, you can also do whatever you want. And what you should do is listen to our podcast.
Well, that's not doing whatever they want.
Yeah, but they'll want to.
They will want to.
Oh.
Get it? Got it? Good. Listen.
Good, great, grand, wonderful.
Hooked on you, baby, you're golden. Time moves, I never noticed. Just can't get enough. Got me wonderstruck.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Make Me a Nerd. I'm Mandy Parlen, a mainstream mom whose mission it is to explore all things nerd culture that I've been missing out on and perhaps a bit afraid of my whole life. This journey has taken me in many, many different directions in terms of content and reading romantasy and trying video games and watching other people play Dungeons and Dragons. But this episode about the rehearsal is not so nerdy, I don't think, but my guest is. She is the wonderful, beautiful, astonishing friend to me and to my show, and everybody knows her. She is back for a second time. She is the Queen of Kong, Megan Parlen.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Welcome back. Well, I'm always wanting to have you on the show because I love your perspective. I love the way you get nerdy about things. And I was just talking about K-pop Demon Hunters with somebody. Deep diving is something that I do believe is a nerd culture phenomenon. And you are one of the deepest divers I know.
I heard that episode, and when you two were talking about that, I was like, okay, yes, I am a nerd. It's just that so many of the topics I'm interested in are topics that you are also interested in. So it's not always the right fit for this show, but this particular show, I think there's a bit of a diversion between the two of us. So it will hopefully work.
This could be the end of a friendship.
It could be.
Heads up.
But when you talked about deep diving, that is when I know I'm nerdy about something, is when I stop watching. And like you said, you're on to the next thing. I am like, how did this start? Who's behind this? What's the real story? And the rehearsal was one of those for me.
Yeah, but you are that way about so many things, which I think I had this realization when I was talking about K-pop Demon Hunters too. I don't think this is something I've always thought. You will always say, oh, did you finish watching Top Chef? And I read and I listened to another podcast and I heard this thing and I found an article and I'm just thinking, how does she get this all done? And I really don't have the bandwidth for it. I just enjoy something and move on. So,
well, but with the NFL, you know, the energy you put into, say, fantasy football, so there is a pool of nerdiness that you have. It's just not so bifurcated like mine.
Yes. And major life development since you were last on the podcast. And I think it's pretty nerdy. You are now the proud owner of a bookstore.
That's true. I really facilitate nerdiness every day by selling books and hearing from people who are just obsessed with genres and authors. And it's a very happy, nerdy place.
And just a quick plug. It's Bloomsbury Books in
Ashland, Oregon.
And if people want to support a local bookstore rather than Amazon, how do they order books from you?
Well, you can go to bookshop.org, which is an online marketplace for books that supports independent bookstores. You just pick the independent bookstore you want to support. You can pick Bloomsbury. If you want to, you can pick your local independent bookstore. And if you like to listen to books, you can also go on libro.fm, and choose a local independent bookstore to support, and some of the profits will go to them. And I also believe bookshop.org sells ebooks. So it's a way to please all sorts of reading habits and independent bookstores.
Yes, and those links will be in the show notes because Pete is wonderful. The rehearsal. This is not a rehearsal. We are actually recording this. I didn't build a second studio and rent a second setup. For those who are unfamiliar, which I feel people might be because it's HBO, which not everybody has, The Rehearsal is a show conceived by Nathan Fielder. And here's what they say about this is his second season. Nathan Fielder returns to television to explore the lengths one person will go to reduce the uncertainties of everyday life. Fielder stars as the director of rehearsals, which are elaborately staged scenarios recreating parts of ordinary people's lives that are meant to help them prepare for a big moment in their lives. A construction crew, a legion of actors, and seemingly unlimited resources all come together to allow ordinary people to rehearse for those moments by giving them the opportunity to play them out in carefully crafted simulations of Fielder's own design.
Yeah.
And we're done. Good episode. That's the show. First season, I watched a couple. I didn't care for it. Very basically, somebody wanted to ask out their friend, right? And they were nervous about it. So Nathan Fielder built a bar that they go to and recreated everything so he could practice how to ask out his friend. Am I remembering that accurately?
And I also remember you not only didn't like it, you hated it. I remember you angry, hated it.
Me?
Yeah. But it actually took a really bizarre turn where he ended up working with a woman who wasn't sure she wanted to have children. And he recreated a house with a son, a fake son, and let her live out his life. And every hour the child would age and change in bed. It was insane. So you just saw the first episode or two, which was nothing compared to what it evolved into.
So this is his second season, and this season is different because it's not necessarily different stories. He came up with a mission. Do you want to tell everybody what the arc is of season 2?
Yeah, so he came into season 2 with a mission to improve aviation safety. He went through countless records of plane crashes and read the transcripts between the pilot and the co-pilot and found a pattern of poor communication and had this desire to recreate the airplane industry to rehearse situations to improve airplane safety.
Hilarious. It is listed as a comedy show. Do you view it as a comedy show? Do you laugh?
I view it as something otherworldly. It is not labelable. It is horror. It is comedy. It is documentary. It's so many things. It's a different grammar than what we're used to.
Well said, because it is very difficult to quantify or qualify. But I wrote, it claims the voiceover says a comedy series and Fielder's a comedian, but this is not funny stuff, as you just summed up. And then he even states, we were over 10 minutes into this episode without a laugh. His voiceover says that.
He is a comedian, but I've obviously done a deep dive. He does not like to be referred to as a prankster. He's almost Andy Kaufman-esque, where you're not really sure who he is. And he's definitely neurodivergent. I think that's pretty clear. And it's hard to tell what is genuinely him and what's funny. And it's just hard to pinpoint. I did laugh, but it was oh my God, uncomfortable laughs. It wasn't a relaxing laugh.
Yeah. I hated Andy Kaufman. This is going to go great. I don't like to be made to feel that uncomfortable. In my comedy, I guess if it's a dramatic piece and you feel sick for the characters or something, I respect that and I like that, but it is so uncomfortable. So he pitches this idea and then he builds an airplane hangar, not an airplane hangar, an airport, and he finds a young co-pilot because his theory is that co-pilots don't feel comfortable saying to their first in command, hey, you're making a mistake. You're overlooking something. You're not being careful. And that's why these crashes happen. So he finds a young man named Moody. Do I have that name right?
Yeah.
And this poor young kid, I don't know if it's just that he's young and I can't relate to him, but he's not the most fascinating character to introduce. He's just like a one-word answer guy. But to replicate Moody's experience of being a co-pilot, he builds this airport. He hires 70 actors, which he claims are trained in the Fielder method, which is a clever line.
Well, it's a callback to season 1. He actually did create a Fielder method where he trained aspiring actors to follow his lead as a studier of people who learn how to imitate real life people. So it is a real thing.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just joking. So there's one laugh I have to take away. I chuckled maybe 3 times in 3 episodes, and now it's down
It's
to
still
2.
pretty funny that he created a Fielder method, but yeah.
Well, here's what I want to ask you. How do you feel about $60 million being spent for this experiment?
I would say, how do you feel about $60 million being spent on CG for Game of Thrones? Like, it's so much more unbelievable when we watch people building something and do these elaborate, like, crafty sets these days when this industry spends money like that all the time. So yes, it sounds crazy, but I don't think it's relative to the context of the industry, it's pretty normal.
Game set match, Megan Parlen. I mean, you're right. I guess some of my discomfort is that he involves real people. And, the first season, which I only saw 1 or 2 of, felt pointless. Like he built a bar. He spent millions of dollars building a bar so a guy could ask out his friend. It just didn't feel meaningful. This one is more meaningful because he is actually trying to affect change in the aviation industry, which I respect. But 70 actors whom I feel bad for. I feel like they're being promised something that they don't get. Like they remain these faceless extras, but he makes them go through audition processes and we have to watch that. And it all feels wasteful.
I mean, there were definitely people who were upset, who were part of the show and weren't quite clear what they were doing. So yeah, there are going to be victims of this. I think it's a pretty benign crime, but because I'm sure they get paid and there's other perks to it. But I think it's a mixed bag because season 1, which in your opinion felt wasteful and there was no point, he actually tapped into the autistic community in a way that he brings up in this second season. They feel championed by him because a lot of autistic people relate to the way he thinks and his awkwardness and actually used season 1 as a tool to feel seen. And so in the season 2, he meets with this autism advocate and he's actually kind of shocked because he doesn't really make it clear that he thinks he's autistic, but a lot of people do. So I don't know. I think he's tapping into a way of thinking that maybe people like you and me don't really feel comfortable with, but a lot of people are like, yeah, that's the way I see the world, or that's what I would want to do. I would want to recreate a rehearsal for the most, random life events.
Yeah. I mean, you're making wonderful points. I guess maybe it feels like it's baiting and switching me, being sold as an experimental comedy show. And then the things we're talking about aren't funny and aren't light. And so,
yeah,
I feel betrayed by its premise or something.
Right.
When he has this idea, one moment I really liked, he has an idea that he's going to see if he can get airlines to participate or something. So he calls United to pitch, like, can I use you on the show? And then in a very cute meta moment, the call was all fake. He was rehearsing the call with one of his producers.
Right? They show him walking over to his coworker and he's like, I think I got this. Thanks.
Yeah. And they have like a big United thing behind her. So they even went to that expense when she's not even seen on the call. It just seems like, why did we have to build her a United office? But that was a fun moment. I wish it had more moments like that and less moments of, we'll get later to who the real victims, I think, but less moments of pure discomfort.
Yeah, it's a hard watch, and I get it. That might not be some way you'd want to spend your time, your precious entertainment time. But I can't say that I feel relaxed when I'm watching it or happy or enjoying it, but I still find value in it because it's fascinating to me. I leave there with so many questions and curiosity that feeds a different part of my entertainment needs.
See, this is a fundamental difference between you and me because you don't mind the questions and you enjoy seeking the answers. And I just get frustrated by having so many questions raised. I'm very much like a toddler in that way. And I own it.
Well, and I can't say that I feel that way about all types of unanswered threads in entertainment, but someone like Nathan Fielder, I recognize a brilliance in him where it makes me want to know more. I feel like he is just fascinating to me and I want to understand him. And he doesn't give interviews. I can't find a darn interview with him like in the last few years. So yeah, I am fascinated by him.
And did you watch Nathan For You, his prior series?
I did.
What was that like?
I loved a lot of them. I was into it. And the rehearsal is inspired by 2 of the episodes from that series. I loved it. There were some that I was like, that was stupid or boring. But did you watch it?
No.
Oh, okay. There's some real like game changers. I mean, Dumb Starbucks, and he started a bunch of campaigns. He raised like millions of dollars for this Holocaust museum in Canada, and so he's made his mark with his approach.
Agreed, undeniable. The jackets that he was giving away, and he launched his own outerwear line from Nathan For You, and gives proceeds to the Holocaust. I mean, he is making changes in the world. I'm just not enjoying his methods and the journey of it, I guess. They want to watch real pilots so that the actors, and the actors can recreate what it's like to be a real pilot. And there's all this footage of them stalking pilots, following them home, following them around the airport. As a documentarian, you are a former filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of release did these guys have to sign? They're on camera, on TV, being followed.
I've worked on projects that involve that, and usually you can, if you're in a public space, there is no expectation of privacy visually. You can be filmed. It's audio that it becomes a problem. So you can't record somebody's conversations if there's an expectation of privacy, but you can be filmed. But I'm sure there were instances like when the guy knocked on that one pilot's hotel room door, that might have required a release after the fact. I'm sure that it was tricky, but they probably have very good lawyers just scouring every frame of that shoot.
Yeah. So he has this co-pilot, Moody, and Moody has a girlfriend. And Moody is like, yeah, but she's probably going to find somebody new and move on from me. And I don't know. I don't really talk to her about it. And he's such a drip. And Nathan equates that with how a co-pilot maybe doesn't speak up in the cockpit. And I'm going to try not to laugh every time I say cockpit. We'll see how far I get. But so I understand his connection. Oh, you can't talk to your girlfriend and you can't talk to your pilot. But it feels so forced to me. It didn't feel organic. Does it feel like an organic storytelling device?
It's so awkward, but the interactions in the rehearsed cockpit are so awkward. What I find true is that we rely on humans we put our lives in human hands, whether it's our political leaders, the people who fly our planes, they're all flawed human beings. And when planes crash, and it may have been because somebody's not speaking up or somebody has mommy issues and can't, it's just like really analyzing the human being behind the controls is worth it. And yes, it was awkward, but I just think it's a good reminder that like mental health matters, communication matters, and how do we, if you're like awkward and or maybe mentally disturbed and you're flying a plane, that's dangerous. So that's where it leads to for me. But yes, it's bizarre and hilarious to me to watch these two in the cockpit, like working out their relationship troubles. I think it's very funny.
I didn't find it funny. I found it very uncomfortable. And have you done any research? Do Moody and his girlfriend last past this?
I didn't research them, but thank you for my next investigation. I haven't researched the actual.
I need to know
characters. Yeah. No, I mean, I can't imagine they survived that. She was on to her customers.
He wraps that episode up by saying, maybe a clown can change the world after all. And I'm so torn about that because it felt so self-aggrandizing, but it also felt really helpful and important and hopeful. But he's not even being a clown. He says, I've been obsessed with plane crashes, but he really, truly researched these things and read thousands and thousands of pages of documents. He's not being a clown. He's being an activist. So I don't quite understand.
I don't like the clown parallel either. I didn't like that whole scene. That's where I was like, oh no, am I going to hate this season? I didn't like it. And I didn't connect with it in any direction. So yeah, I can't.
So in the beginning of the episode,
I didn't. Yeah,
he films. He hires a guy to pretend to be a clown who's trapped under his van, but he's in his full clown garb, so people think it's a bit. And the clown is screaming in pain, and no one's helping. That's so.
Yeah, it just felt spooky and random, and I'm sure there's a reason for it. That. Yeah, I could take or leave, but it didn't connect for me.
But he's talking about himself, like a clown like me can make a difference. Oh, I'm so frustrated by him and by this experiment.
I can tell.
And therefore, by you. Yeah, all caps. Damn you, Megan. That's what I wrote at the end of episode 1.
Okay.
Then we did episode 2. And this is where we find out that he has become a pilot, or he's earning his hours and he's going to become a pilot.
Yeah. He's training, right.
Yeah. This episode is called Star Potential. And it infuriated me because it was preying upon the hopes and dreams of young singers and actors. And I found it abusive. I was so angry at him for no reason in my mind. He's trying to crack this code. How do you get co-pilots to speak up and prevent accidents in the air?
And give feedback when it's uncomfortable.
Yes. Thank you. Well phrased. So he makes up an American Idol spinoff called Wings of Voice, which makes no sense. And then he asks airline pilots to be the judges, which makes no sense. So young, genuinely hopeful singers line up all day like they do on American Idol, and then they sing a song for one of these co-pilots who then gets to say, you're moving on, or sorry, you're not. There had to be a way to achieve this without embarrassing hundreds and hundreds of singers.
Mm.
Did you feel for them?
I did, but it's like, what's the difference between that and another reality show? I mean, that's what a lot of the genre does, right?
But there's a real genuine prize and genuine eyes on it looking for talent. It's providing them really positive, good exposure if they're talented. I don't watch any of those shows, but I was always uncomfortable when they would have a bad singer on and everybody would make fun of that bad singer. It's cringe does not sum it up enough. It hurts my soul to watch young. They had 14-year-old girls. And he's like, sorry, you're not good enough, after she had just sung her heart out thinking this was a break.
Yes, I get
I
it.
can't
And
forget
I understand. When I look at it from my nerdy perspective, and I ask, what is the story he's trying to tell? I think he has a lot of confusion and guilt about that period of his career where he was one of those producers who had to weed out the talent, and he probably had to do a lot of stuff that he felt very uncomfortable with, and he wants to expose that. And unfortunately, it's at the expense of real people on this series. But I think that he wanted to rip that whole process open, because I think that's where he struggles with his own personality and wonders, like, how do I interact with other human beings in a productive way, which then stems to the whole airline pilot. How do you communicate? So I think it was, it was an unfortunate way to put these people on TV, but it did make a strong point.
I would like to watch him locate and call contestants that he was unkind to 20 years ago and apologize to them. That would be an interesting
That's a good one.
episode to me, right?
Yeah,
Hey,
good idea.
I was having a shitty day. You came and sang your heart out. I dismissed you. I should have.
Are you waiting for Nathan to call you?
We all know I was on community auditions when I was little and I didn't get picked and it was tough.
I think there's something here.
Hey, I got issues. But he takes it to an extreme with one singer whose name I didn't catch. The guy sings Amazing Grace or something. Oh, by the way, side note, if I could see you at the bench. They spent $60 million on this show. They built all of the sets that they do. They hire all these actors, and then they're using public domain songs because they refuse to pay for songs. It's strange.
Until the end, actually. The finale, they used real songs. But yeah, they did skimp on. I mean, that becomes totally unaffordable.
Right, but it was, maybe they thought that was funny, but it bothered me. And one guy sings his heart out. Nathan says, sorry, you're not going to make it to the next round. The guy leaves fighting tears. Nathan waits a half hour, calls him and says, are you still nearby? Can you come back? The guy turns his car around, races back, so excited that they made a mistake. I'm going to go through to the next round. And Nathan's like, why didn't you like me?
Right. And it was obviously very pathetic, but I think he, again, is proving a point that ultimately we really only care what other people think about us. Even if we're the judge, he's asking them to rate him, I think that he is working through his own, self-obsession.
It didn't break your heart for this guy who raced his car back and thought he was getting a call back?
It didn't break my heart because I just think the minute you subject yourself to a reality show audition, you're in for heartbreak, or I found that
feels different than a bachelor contestant to me. Those don't break my heart because they know what they're signing up for. But this guy thought he was getting a break as a singer.
Right. No, it was hard to watch. It was very that conversation in the garage, and then he has to explain what aura means to Nathan. It was just like, oh God. Yeah. Not fun to watch, but for me still very interesting.
Yeah, I respect what you're saying. I just think there were other kinder ways to go about this experiment. And a very interesting part is when all the pilots are drinking with the co-pilots and then they pair them up. This, I'm fully support as an experiment. Like, let's put you guys in a cockpit together and see what the dynamic is with Jeff, the pilot.
Who has been kicked off of every single dating app. I mean, you like this guy, you can't write this guy, and he's real.
He's real. He's disgustipating. It's a word. And I wrote, what a creep. And then it just got worse and worse. So he gets in a cockpit being watched, knowing he's being filmed with one of the co-pilots. She's a woman. Her name is Mandy. Fan favorite.
Lovely. Yes.
Everybody loves her. She's warm. She's got a great smile. She's talkative. She can't bear to break the hearts of the contestants. She's just great. They're in the cockpit. 30 seconds. He's asking her if she dates and why she doesn't date. And I mean, it's so inappropriate.
Yeah, I mean, and this, you have to believe it's horrifying. And it really, this whole thing scared me from flying. I mean, knowing what the dynamic is like and what Nathan Fielder uncovered is that most pilots don't want to speak to their co-pilots until they get into the cockpit, which seems crazy. Like, don't you want to just like warm up the room a little bit? And the hierarchy and ego involved. And then especially when you get a male and a female with a misogynistic male, you know, that's scary.
Yeah. And I didn't realize they don't know each other at all. I would think there would be more like, well, there's this group of pilots, excuse me. I shouldn't have said guys. Shame on me. You know, and you never know who you're going to get on the plane with. But yeah, I know them all. You
Or
know,
like for me as a producer, when I crew up, I'm like, oh, to the DP, what gaffer do you like to work with? And I try to pair up the people who like each other and work well together. Like the fact that just doesn't happen is shocking.
it is. And the stakes couldn't be higher. All the people in the, you know, on the plane, depending on these two total strangers who maybe have an unhealthy dynamic from jump. I thought Mandy, from the moment she sat down, seemed uncomfortable sitting next to this. He seems like a predator.
I know. I mean, when I walk up a plane, I'm always glancing at the cockpit and just like hoping for warm smiles and convivial vibes. But who the heck knows now?
This episode then takes a total turn, and Nathan goes on a weird personal mission to find out why Paramount took down one of his episodes.
And recreates what he envisioned the German Paramount Plus network office to look like, which resembles Nazi Germany.
Yes, this massive hall.
Palatial.
Yes. And hires actors. This is where the actors get
Really
a
good
chance to
actors.
shine. Right.
Yeah.
This, I get that they would be like, I booked an episode of The Rehearsal and I get to really act, as opposed to everyone else who he's like, I'm hiring you as an actor. Now follow that pilot with a camera and stalk him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just felt like a different episode.
That's the whole, that's where you just have to be like, okay, you cannot predict the structure of this episode or where you're going, and you have to let go. And I know that's hard for a lot of people, and you're watching with your fingers over your eyes. Like it's a very, I know you said cringe doesn't encompass parts of it, but it is very cringy and confusing.
Yes. Yeah. Did you look into the episode? The pulled episode?
Oh, the one that they pulled?
Yeah.
Not yet. No. So many rabbit holes to go down. I haven't gone down that one yet either. No, it's really hard to talk about this series. You know, it's just like, wait, where do you even begin and start and stop and end?
I guess this feels more like what I said. It would be interesting to watch him find old contestants and apologize, or because I'm such a sap, give them a break. Say, I'm going to put you on TV and let you sing your heart out and give you the exposure that I didn't give you 20 years ago. That would be interesting to me and moving. But this felt just so like he has a little grudge and he's going to take it out on Paramount on the, on this show.
Well, what resonates for me is, I don't know about you, but I often have fantasies where I could recreate situations in my head that either already happened or the way I imagined them to have happened. And imagine if you could do that, not only as a rehearsal, which would be, pre, but like after the fact. And the way he watches the actor who plays him just thinking and writing emails, and he's really trying to understand himself and what happened in his life as an outsider, which is something that I relate.
You believe this is his genuine mission, not a gimmick for a TV show?
I believe that he has a genuine desire to do that. I mean, I think he's given a rare opportunity to also create a job for himself. But yeah, I do. I believe that he is passionate about this.
I mean, he doesn't stop. The fact that he became a pilot, he's truly motivated, and he's a doer, and I always admire that. I agree that he's fascinating and seems heartfelt. It's hard to watch him sometimes because he doesn't smile, he doesn't laugh, he doesn't have ups and downs. He's just,
Well, there are moments that I really cherish when you see him crack a little bit. And like, for instance, when Moody was talking about his girlfriend and how she might like cheat on him with a customer, and Nathan's on his bed and they felt like friends. And he's like, wait, what, Moody? Like, who is this guy you're imagining in your head? Like, he felt real and a little bit less serious. And then there was another moment, when Jeff, the creepy misogynistic pilot, was revealing all the apps that he's been kicked off of, and you saw Nathan's face like, holy shit, tell me more. And I love those moments because you're like, oh, I see that. That's a different side of him.
It's almost like he pitched 100 different things, and they said, put them all in this one episode. Go for it. Make this episode about everything. And the episode ends with him trying to figure out how he's going to get rated by these hopeful singers. And he uses the words Meredy uses. She says, you look fantastic. I'm fantastic. How are you? And so he starts to do that too. And it's not affecting his ratings.
I mean, did it not make you laugh when he observed how she would call everybody's name beautiful? Oh, my name is, Shania, beautiful. And then he got, hi, I'm Danny. And he's like, beautiful.
Danny, that's so beautiful. That was the only laugh for me. That and the reveal in episode 1 when he finds Moody and he's he brings a crew to Moody's hotel room to watch him get ready for the day.
Oh,
and
gosh. The
Moody
iron
is
board.
like brushing his teeth or something. And they reveal Nathan is just sitting on the toilet watching him. Not going to the bathroom, obviously, but yes, and the ironing board. That Moody can't close the ironing board and Nathan refuses to jump in and help him.
Right. He's just observing him like an anthropologist.
Yes. So there are tiny moments of laughter, but that was it. But I did write down, Danny, that's beautiful. I liked that moment. And then the episode ends. He looks at his score from the last singer, and it's a 6, which is an improvement because people hated him. He was getting very negative scores. And then he flips it upside down. Is it a 6 or a 9? And I think I yelled, who cares, at my TV.
I was like, I mean, I think he wanted that moment to be more profound than maybe it was for me, but I was like, okay, clever-ish. It's a point. He really wants to make points, and you may not care, but he does want to make points.
This episode felt so scattered and off topic and went on so many tangents. It really lost me. And then my dearest friend in the world surprised me with a text that said, oh, let's also watch the finale. When I was like, done. I did it. I watched 2 episodes. I got through them.
I hadn't seen the finale yet, and then I watched it and I was like, I kind of want you to know the way it ends, because not that I thought it would change your mind or that you would like it, but it just felt like a shame for you not to know what happened.
Right. Tell the people what happened. Oh, wait, should we not? Because it's airing on HBO. Well, this episode Between You and Me won't drop for a few weeks. So if you have not watched the finale, pause this episode and then come back when you have. There. What happens in the finale? My controls.
Well, so we know that Nathan's been training to become a pilot, and by the end of the season, he gets all of his hours after more time than what's normal, and he flies a 737 plane with actors on the plane. He's able to circumvent some loopholes because it's not a commercial airline, and he flies a plane for like 2.5 hours with a very kind pilot and finally gets
co-pilot.
to
Nathan's the pilot. Yeah.
Right. Nathan is the pilot, and he has a lovely, brave co-pilot, and he finally gets to put into practice the things he has learned with people's lives in his hand, and it is terrifying.
Oh, I mean, it's like getting a tooth drilled for an hour. Yeah, and good news, this episode is much longer than the others. They squeezed in 17 extra minutes. It starts by him auditioning people who are going to be on the flight. They're all actors. And he's like, your line is, I'll take a Diet Coke. Watching actors, I feel, be embarrassed, and they're so desperate, right? He's like, now, just to be clear, I've never flown a plane before, but you're going to get on this flight with me. Cool? And they all say yes. Because they're desperate to be on TV. They're desperate to book a gig. I hate that feeling. I don't like it. I don't know if I would feel the same with all dentists or something, but because
I think he is showing the way this industry is, and it's sad, and it's not his fault. And yes, he is creating the same type of opportunity for them, but he's showing the world like this is how desperate people are.
But why? Wasn't he an actor before? I know he is one. I know he has a scripted series with Emma Stone, but why expose, like, look how desperate these people are?
I think it just, and I keep defending him because I do, but I do think that it circles back to this question he has about what motivates humans, and whether it's being a pilot and trying to get people places safely or being on a TV show. It's all selfish, and I think he's trying to understand that.
He is a brutally candid person in this episode, and I really respect it. So he talks about how most people master landing after 30 hours in the air, and he hadn't mastered it after 120 hours, and they called him the slowest learner they had ever taught. To put that on TV was quite brave.
Yeah, and to show how frustrated his teachers were, and they were just like hot potatoing him around, like, you deal with him, because he just couldn't get it.
And while he's up in the air during a lesson, another plane with a student in it crashed, and the student died.
I know.
Wouldn't that have made you go, you know what? I'm done. Why? How could he be like, well, then I just got to get back up in the air?
I mean, I think, they always say the statistics of flying are still a lot, higher than driving as far as safety goes. So you just have to put it in perspective.
Well, you bring up driving. Oh, he put together a sequence that chilled me to the bone of him in the back of Ubers.
Oh, yeah.
With all the Uber drivers on their phones. Some of them scrolling and watching. I understand the quick, my GPS is telling me to go a different way and I got to push a button.
No, I had an Uber driver who was showing me a video of this gigantic pizza that he had delivered while he's driving on the freeway in the dark in LA. And I'm like, and it goes back to the same ethos, is like, I don't want to upset him because my life is in his hands. So if I yell at him and say, or I try to take over the wheel or something, it is that feeling of, how do I play this so that I don't rock the boat? And I was actually speaking of you because I know you were sitting next to someone on the plane who made a racist remark not too long ago. And
racist and homophobic slur.
Right. And you handled it really well, but you also have to keep in mind, like, I am stuck with this person on a plane. So you want to it's delicate. And I think that is a lot of what this season was about. Is
agreed. And that's a very dark game of would you rather, right? Though this is a rich subject. What do you do if you're in the Uber and they're scrolling on their phones? Now, on the plane, I was proud of myself that I shut him down, and I think I handled myself well. But there's safety in numbers. If he got mad at me, I knew I could ask a stewardess to change my seat, or other people would get mad at him for yelling at a little old lady. That's me. But, um, but in a car, when they're driving, I would never have s the way I spoke to that guy on the plane, I wouldn't have used that tone. But I would say, "Could you please put your phone away? It's making me very nervous." And I couldn't believe that Nathan didn't say that and has all this footage of countless Uber drivers.
I know, and I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to that and maybe didn't say anything because you're just hoping that that it stops and that you don't crash and get through that moment without having to piss somebody off.
Oh, I mean, that's the kind of uncomfortable thing that I don't mind talking about. It's like, what would you do if you were the co-pilot? And in in the actual dialogue, they have actors reenacting actual cockpit conversations from the black box right before a crash. I believe you need to touch that button. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Touch the button. No, it's fine. And then they crash. Ooh, that I wanted to know if you would say something so you wouldn't in an Uber.
I would like to think I would. I mean, I know like my husband Dave also had an Uber driver who his eyes were closing in the mirror. He could see him just like falling asleep. And so Dave rolled down the windows and I think we're in this new era of trusting people with our lives in a way that in a bad economy, it's hard.
And now back to the rehearsal. So he shows us after he got me so mad with the Uber drivers. He wants us to know that he went through extensive training to become a pilot. But he showed us way too much of it. I mean, it was minute after minute after minute of him like in a simulator or asking a question or looking at books. Like, come on, Nathan. Why do we need to go through all of his training with him? And then he shows us that at 13, he was a magician and he shows us a home movie. And it's the only time he is animated and lit up because he's 13 and he's entertaining kids at a birthday party. And I want more of that. I don't know what makes him think or what makes the producers, because I know it's like you said it, he's neurodivergent. He doesn't think the way we think. But I'm imagining producers must say, hey, let's put some more human, relatable stuff in so that people are really supporting your journey. I guess no one's saying it.
Yeah, I think everyone's question about this series is what was the pitch and who greenlit this and how did the network support it? And I haven't heard any really clear answers, but I have to imagine that Nathan had even more. You were saying that he got to do whatever he wanted and show all these tangents. I'll bet there was 4 times as many tangents he wanted to go on. And this is what the compromise was. I don't know. I can't imagine that this was everything he wanted and more. It was probably a compromise.
And so not only is the money wasteful, in my opinion, but now it's reckless. He is flying a plane, but he's also doing it for television. So he's up in the cockpit, literally flying a plane full of actors who have probably signed something that says if the plane crashes, we won't sue if we survive. And he's concentrating on the co-pilot and saying, is everything okay? Is everything all right? What's going on? What are you thinking? Is everything okay? So Nathan isn't even concentrating on flying the plane because he's making a TV show and he's supposed to be focused on the co-pilot and the communication between them. How would you have felt if you were one of those actors and now you're watching and you're thinking, well, this was his first flight. He's probably up in the cockpit, really focused on flying this plane safely. And you see all the footage of him being like, hey, you want to talk, buddy? We could talk. Let's play a character. Let's do some role play. How would you have felt as one of those actors?
I have no idea how flying a plane works, but I have to imagine there are moments when you can stretch and maybe just like you have to take a mental break and that he used those moments as economically as possible for the spirit of the show to ask. So that's how I would justify it. I don't know. I'd be very curious to hear from the people involved in that whole episode, what it felt like to watch.
Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't found interviews. I did find one interview with one of the singers who is livid. Um, I bookmarked it and I was going to read excerpts from it, but we are running out of time. But she feels like she was really duped, and I don't blame her. And it's social experiments on people, and then public experiments, not just putting them in a room with a marshmallow and saying, "Don't eat the marshmallow for 5 minutes."
Right.
This is public. They are all on TV, and I think don't come out looking great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. That's a big criticism of him. Even from the first season, there was a little boy involved, and you wondered, like, did he really think Nathan was actually his dad? It was. The lines were blurry, and it involved a child. And this season, there were no children for that reason, I'm sure. So you're not alone in that ick, to use a word that's overused right now. But another thing that I found interesting about the point of this season, I don't know if you read Catch 22, but there's been comparisons to the book, how, and just very briefly, this Catch 22 of like, you can't be crazy to fly a battleship in war, but if you know you're crazy, then you're not crazy, and that whole thing. And I think with airline pilots, there's this huge stigma against mental health issues. And if you say the least bit about anxiety, like, you're out. But if you don't know you have anxiety or social disorders, like, you might be dangerous. And so it's this catch-22, and the fact that it's on a plane and it's so similar to the battlefield planes. And so I like that homage to Catch-22. I find it really interesting and scary.
I only know that Joseph Heller wrote Catch-22 from my crosswords.
Very
Right?
good. That's enough for your life.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. It's so, I'm so conflicted about this show, because if you and I were not recording a podcast about it, we would have been talking about this every morning on our walks. Like, this is a thought-provoking, layered, fascinating entity. I really
But
do.
you wouldn't have stuck with it. You wouldn't have wanted to watch
No.
it, right?
No,
Okay.
but if I had to watch it or something,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just that Uber conversation alone, what would you do if you were in an Uber? But it makes me feel so uncomfortable, and not in a fun way. So, but there are many nerdy qualities about it that you were so fascinated by, and the moral ambiguity, and his approach to life, and how people react in certain situations. It's all fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it's fair game.
Yeah. He's really tapping into something. It's just not for me. And I mean,
Yeah, and it is unlike anything else, which I always find really worth looking at when it's on HBO mainstream streaming platform, and it is so unlike anything else. I mean, I would call it revolutionary because there's nothing else like it, and that's worth talking about.
absolutely. Thank you for talking to me about it. And, I don't know if they're doing a season 3, but add a fart joke and a choreographed musical number, and I'm back. Maybe some cats doing some funny things. I'd give it another chance if those things could be a part of season 3. Okay, I am going to do my business, and then I know you aren't in the business of telling people where to find you or anything, but I am, and I want everybody to reach out to me. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please hit that 5-star review and write me a note, write me a message, tell me what you're thinking of the show. And if you're feeling extra supportive, please go to makemeanerd.com/join. That button will get you your episodes ad-free and early. And these episodes, I do not do these alone. Make Me a Nerd is a production of True Story FM, engineering by Pete Wright, the peerless Pete Wright. My theme song is Wonderstruck by Jane and the Boy. And you can get to me on socials at Mandy Miscast on Blue Sky and TikTok, and on Instagram at Mandy_Kaplan_Clavens, both with K's. And you can check out Bloomsbury Books.
check out Bloomsbury Books, support us. And if you want to ask me any questions or talk about the rehearsal, you're welcome to reach out to Mandy. We talk every day and she'll tell me.
Absolutely. I'm the gatekeeper for Megan Parlen. Oh, my wonderful friend. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
I hope I didn't offend you.
Oh my gosh, no, I'm just really, I'm so happy that you were willing to watch this and talk about it with me because I knew it wasn't your jam. So that's what this podcast is about. And you did it.
That's exactly right. All right. Thank you all for listening. And until next time.